Here is my stance on the Filioque. Very quickly, we are speaking on if the Holy Spirit proceeds from both the Father and the Son. Filioque means and the Son, and it comes from the Latin language. So I personally do not affirm this. I don't think the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Son. I think it's only the Father, and here's why. First, for some historic context, at the Council of Constantinople there was a heresy called Nometonikeanism, which denies the divinity of the Holy Spirit. Now the phrase, "I believe in the Holy Spirit, the giver of life, whom proceeds from the Father," is crucial. There certainly would have been people who affirmed the Filioque at that council, but yet they still did not add Filioque to the creed. So the idea would have been at least brought up, maybe not as a major controversy, but at least through personal conversation. Now let's get into biblical evidence. John 15 verse 26 says, "But when the Helper comes, whom I shall send to you from the Father, the Spirit of truth who proceeds from the Father, he will testify of me." Here's John 14 verse 16. "And I will pray the Father, and he will give you another Helper, that he may abide with you forever." A lot of people might say, but Jesus says he will send us the Helper. Well, being sent from is different from an eternal origin of. Let's read John 14 verse 28. "You have heard me say to you, I am going away and coming back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice, because I said I am going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I." Now what does this mean? What it does not mean is that Jesus is created, because they share in the same divine nature. Nor does it mean that God the Father has more of a divine nature. But what it's talking about is God the Father being the fountainhead of the Trinity. When we follow this logic, it's only logical to see how the Holy Spirit can only proceed from the Father. If the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Son, there would be two fountainheads to the Trinity. Now, pro-Filioque will not deny John 14:16 or John 15:26. They just add on to it and say, but it also means the Son. And they use the day of Pentecost to support this. But the day of Pentecost, Jesus sends the Holy Spirit. That's not proof of an eternal origin. That's proof of being sent by. Of course, this is all very summarized, and I could go on for hours about this, but that's the main idea, and that's the paraphrased version of it. See you later.